Good evening. We have a few people here as guests. Nice to see you. Before we start the regular meeting, there's an announcement that I need to read. So, welcome to this regular meeting of the Northside Board of Trustees. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd like to take just a moment to briefly review some of the rules for conducting our meeting. The order of business for this meeting is set out in the agenda. One item that you may notice on the agenda is called the consent agenda. This item includes things that were considered routine or are of a recurring nature. All the items listed under the consent agenda will be acted upon in one motion. If there is a consent agenda item which anyone here would like to address, please sign up to speak, and we will pull it from the consent motion and discuss it separately. The purpose of our meeting is board business, and for that reason it is held in public, but it is not a public forum. However, we do provide the opportunity for audience participation. If there is anyone here who would like to address the board during an agenda item or the citizens to be heard portion, we ask that you please complete a sign-up sheet located at the entrance to this room. That's so I do not overlook anyone who would like to speak to the board. We will review the rules for addressing the board later in the meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to sign up to an agenda item that's not done so? We have at least one person. So the meeting will then be officially called to order. Please stand as Trustee Blunt leads us in the invocation and the pledges of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask your guidance and blessing upon this board, students, parents, patrons, teachers, and administrators as we are assembled here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Okay, before we start the first agenda item, I would certainly like to welcome our scout in attendance today. Would you like to stand up and tell us your name and where you go to school and what your troop number is?
Oh, well.
And you're working on? Citizenship for your? Thank you. Well, welcome.
Welcome, Luke.
You picked a good meeting because it's going to be really short. Okay. We have another guest that's not here.
I'm Jacob Villarreal. I actually work for Engineering Services, and I'm just here to witness.
Okay. Well, I just knew you were an unfamiliar face, so I just thought I'd ask.
He's the one
And you're
that
going to
does all
speak,
our
right?
paving projects, sewer, everything.
Uh-huh.
He's a busy guy this time.
Busy
of year.
summer.
Doing here.
Okay. So having done that, we will have the rest of the meeting, and there is a superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. There is. Mrs. Reed, members of the board, just a few items to report to you tonight, and I'll start just with an overview. We usually receive in late June our scores for our advanced placement students and how they performed on their tests, and we had a really good year, and I wanted to go back and give you just a sense of what progress has been made in the last few years around advanced placement. So since 2012, the number of students who scored on one or more tests a 3 or higher, which is the score it takes to meet criteria and earn college credit in most cases, has increased by 40% over that 4-year period of time. The number of tests themselves scored 3 or higher has actually increased by 46%. The number of students attempting one or more tests has increased by 35%. And the number of exams administered to those students has increased again by 40% over that 4-year period of time. So that's good results for our advanced placement programs that continues to grow, and we're certainly proud of the access, and we also are extremely thankful to this board for the financial support you give to all of those students that enables them, regardless of their family income situation, to have access to those tests, those rigorous tests. We are prepared. Mr. San Miguel tells me that we are good to go on 2 new schools that will open just this coming month, Cole and Fields Elementary. The dedications for those schools are actually scheduled in the last week of October and the 1st of November, so those are coming right along. We have, speaking of new schools, conversation around what a possible bond program in 2018 look like with regard to new schools as well as significant renovation projects. Obviously, we will be bringing back a significant amount of conversation to the board in that regard in the coming months. I want to thank, and I'm glad it just kind of worked out, Scott Zielinski and his whole staff. Any of you who go and see the Olympians swimming in our swim a week and a half ago, it was a spectacular sight. The place had more people than I've ever seen. The crowd was, I think, loved to be there. It was extremely well managed, well organized. I know that you know this, but part of the way that because we knew we weren't going to be able to manage as many people as wanted to come see the Olympians, was a donation of a backpack that'll go to a Northside student. And Scott's up to about 4 semi-loads worth of backpacks now. So we are overrun with backpacks, but our folks tell us that those will be gone. Actually, I think, Scott, we were told they'd be gone. Diana's sitting right there. We'd be gone by Labor Day. So it was an extremely well-run event. The supplies and materials donated will go to Northside kids, and extremely well done. So, Scott, and thanks to you and your staff for that. I wanted to just report that that Go Public, the organization, has existed for about 3 years, and we finally come to a point where we've got the capacity to hire an executive director, and we have done that. A young lady named Lisa Jackson is going to run the Go Public campaign. We met with her, just yesterday, I guess, Mr. Blunt, and feel really good about her energy and her ability to carry that campaign going forward. And so I think we'll leverage a good bit of what we've done with Go Public and make it even better with somebody who can really dedicate some really serious time and energy to that. Obviously, Mr. Blunt and I will continue to be involved along with others on the steering committee, but it will be nice to have an executive director. So I also want to mention, and I know we've sent this to you in Friday letter, but just for absolute clarity purposes, the audit firm, the external audit firm that we've hired to conduct our audits, beginning with the current one, beginning this year, Paget Strataman, has actually merged with another large firm, RSM. David, make sure this is correct. The current audit will be conducted under the Paget name, so when the board sees that audit, it'll have Paget Strataman on it. Future will be conducted under the RSM name, but the folks with Paget with whom we have had a relationship will continue to stay on both for the current audit and for future audits, so the local team will continue to be running the Northside audit. So as you might expect, at the end of July, there are many back-to-school events that are scheduled. We begin, and I know Dr. Moore is happy in her lab side that we begin tomorrow morning at 6:30 with our Leadership Institute. We have our coaches returning to work and their general meeting at the week. Next week, we welcome our new teachers for their staff development, and then our budget finalization meetings begin next week. Speaking of that, I want to take a minute to thank David and Wes and the whole staff and the business group, as well as members of this board. Budget development in a district our size is not a quick process. It's an 8-month process, and we know that it takes quite a bit of time on everybody's behalf. So thanks to all of you for what you've dedicated to that. I also want a couple of other events I want to just mention and make sure they're on your calendar. Go Public has the Missions baseball team on Friday the 12th of August, and all of you are certainly welcome and encouraged to be there. And then our summer commencement is actually scheduled for the 18th of this month at Paul Taylor Fieldhouse. Also,
18th of August.
18th of August. Yeah, I'm sorry, 18th of August. Yes.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that this is something we're continuing and augmenting a little bit from last year, and this is America's Hero. So during the week of September 19th through the 24th, we as a school will honor military and first responders at our football games held at stadiums, those with uniform or ID to those games free of charge. And also, and I think most importantly, our bands and the fine arts groups will honor folks throughout the game and at halftime. And if you were able to see any of that last year, it was really special to recognize those really important members of our board. And we will certainly continue that this year. So I'm going to transition to our video moment, and then I want to come back and make a more closing comment, Ms. Reed. Okay. So the video moment is Operation School Bell at Mary Hull Elementary.
School is out for summer, but before the break, about 30 students from Mary Hull Elementary enjoyed a day of shopping with some classmates. The nonprofit organization Assistance League of San Antonio made the experience possible through its Operation School Bell program.
These are very special children that get to come in and shop for brand new clothes. They walk in a little heavy and a little, gosh, what's going to happen, what's going on, and they leave here with the biggest smiles on their faces you've ever seen.
Shop till you drop, girlfriend.
Shopping.
You want to try that one? Super.
And more shopping make for a fun-filled day.
Let's go find you some clothes.
This is a big blessing for us because all our clothes have been going down, out, and they've been ripping, and we're happy about this.
For many, it was the first time selecting their own clothing.
Should we pick another outfit?
But they had plenty of help from volunteers of the Assistance League. The organization has its own store, Operation School Bell. It's stocked with new clothing, and it's only open at certain times for invited students from Title I schools.
I like this one.
We ask the teachers in our school to nominate students that they think could use the things that the Assistant League gives us.
You are handsome.
In the past 4 years, Operation School Bell has opened its doors to more than 3,100 Northside students.
Some of these children really need some help, and they need to know somebody cares about them and what happens to them. And they get that at school a lot, but they come here and we just really feel so passionate about what we do and how we can help these precious kids because they need our help so much.
Turn around and look how beautiful you look.
Every child selects a couple of pairs of pants, some shirts, a jacket, socks, and other personal items, and so much more.
You get 2 books today.
They give our kids clothes, books, toiletries, knickknacks for their hair, shoe vouchers. It is truly a blessing for our kiddos.
Sophia! Yeah, the bag is bigger than you.
The children leave with a huge bag of clothing, load onto the school bus, and continue with a lunch outing.
I've never been to get clothes, eat, and get shoes all in one day.
It all makes for a very special day for the students and for the Assistance League volunteers.
Hugs are always nice.
Thank you so much. Operation School Bell is the main program for Assistance League of San Antonio, and funding for their clothing store is made possible mostly by sales from their thrift store.
I'll say that I regularly run into the members of the Assistance League, some of whom you saw, and they talk all of the time about how much they get from hosting those kids in those days, and how the payback for them is really tremendous. So, neat program. So before I conclude Superintendent's report, Ms. Reed, I want to ask Northside parent and community member and happens to be Chief of Staff for Senator Menendez to come forward and make a presentation. Tomas Laralde. Tomas, thanks for being here tonight.
Welcome, Tomas.
Happy to be here. Yeah, I've been sending my kids to Northside, so thank you all for all your work, because I know you guys get paid lots of money to be sitting up there.
That's right.
Thank if you don't
So
mind.
I have to interject because we don't want our to think we really do get paid. We don't get paid anything.
They work for zero.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't get paid for
Volunteer.
this. You could double, and if you're a mathematician, you could pay, and they still get zero.
There you go.
So
Good coffee, though.
that's right. So it's a labor of love, and I know you guys have done an incredible job. You guys have rolled for most of the school districts, and we're very proud. I know the senator is to represent y'all in the legislature. You have a great superintendent that keeps us well informed that we need to do to make sure you guys can be successful. And I don't know how he does it. I told him one time that it's like running a, I think with 100 and I don't know what y'all are up to today. It's probably more than 106,000. That's probably bigger than most cities in Texas. And to have that many students and not to include the number of parents that you have is quite a feat. So what we do is a miracle. It makes us much more impressed and very proud to go represent y'all in Austin. But along those lines of getting the job done, we want to recognize Linda Mora for her hard work. And so the senator asked us to put together a resolution there from the Senate. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take the opportunity to read it to you guys and to present it to her on behalf of Senator Menendez. So whereas Linda Mora is retiring as Deputy Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction for the Northside Independent School District in San Antonio on July 25th, 2016, and whereas Dr. Mora embarked on what would become a stellar career in education in 1968 when she joined the United Independent School District. She served that district in a number of roles, including teacher, curriculum director, principal, and assistant superintendent for instruction, before moving to Northside ISD in 2002. She also was an associate commissioner of accountability and accreditation for the Texas Education Agency and is director of statewide initiatives for the region, although my 13 Education Center in Austin. Sorry, it was in Roman numerals. Whereas in addition to her many professional responsibilities, Dr. Mora has given generously over time and talents as a member of the Accountability Policy Advisory Communities and Schools of Texas State Advisory Committee, and president of the Alamo Area Association of Supervision for Supervision and Curriculum, and for her myriad contributions in behalf of the students and fellows. She has been recognized by the Texas ASCD with the George H. and Gwen Bromley Award. And whereas Dr. Mora holds bachelor's and master's degrees from Texas A&I University and a doctorate degree from the University of Texas at Austin, she is sustained in all of her endeavors by the love of a fine family, one that includes her children, Patricia and Sal, and her 7 grandchildren. And whereas the Northside Independent School District has benefited immeasurably from Linda Mora's deep experience and from her commitment to a superior learning environment for young Texans, and she may indeed reflect with pride on her exceptional record of achievement. Now therefore be it resolved that Dr. Linda Mora be congratulated on this occasion of her retirement from the Northside Independent School District, and that she be extended sincere best wishes for the future. Signed, Jose Menendez, State Senator, District 26. Thank you.
Tomas, thank you for being here. We really appreciate
Tell the
that.
senator hello for us.
Yes, tell him hello and thank you. And I'll say, I know many of the members of our board have been at events in the last several days where we've thanked and congratulated Dr. Mora. But I'll say, because I want it in the minutes of this meeting and preserved for eternity, that this organization has benefited tremendously by its association with Linda Mora. And while she will be missed, we are very for her as she gets to spend time with people she loves and do the things that she wants to do. Linda, thanks for everything you've done.
Thank you, all of you,
Thank you.
very much.
You can put your bow up.
I know,
Miss
Bobby
Queen.
asked me to wear it.
There you go.
There we go.
Kodak moment.
Remarks from the board? Dr. Hurl?
I was just going to ask Linda if that's her Walmart outfit that they talked about yesterday. No.
I still have it, by the way. $11 that I spent on that bra.
Well, maybe Friday. There you go. No, but Lynn, so much. And I think we've had lots of thank yous for you. So I don't know any that haven't been expressed, but I tell you what, my mom talked and talked and talked about you on the right. And so when you have the love and admiration of Ann Berg, you've arrived. So, I just figure that made her day, and I'm sure my dad heard about it the next hour or two. So anyway, thanks a lot. I wanted to tell Scott, I know Joseph and I were walking around the swim events. Well, nice is how you brought our kids into the event. I know many of them couldn't be there, but the postcards, the big posters that sent well wishes had such meaningful phrases. I would really like, I should have taken a picture, but Joseph and I read every single one, and they were life messages. They weren't just, do good in the Olympics. And so that was a nice touch. There were so many nice touches, though, that I know our athletes felt the love and admiration of San Antonio, just by the sheer numbers of people who came, but just all those nice north side touches that, you didn't have to do, but you guys did and made it better for us. So thank you for that. And that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Blunt?
And I just have 2 items also. The first one is to let the board know for the Bexar County School Boards Coalition. Our meeting is going to be on August 10th, and it's going to be down at the San Antonio Area Foundation. Good number of agenda items, but the main 2 are we're going to introduce our executive director, was talked about, so the trustees have the opportunity to meet our executive director for the Go Public. And the second one is going to be my guest from State Board of Education. Realizes she hadn't had the opportunity to talk to us for a while and really wants to dialogue with the trustees about some recent occurrences. So the 2 main highlights that we're going to have.
Our lunch meeting?
That's the lunch meeting, yeah. So that's the main one. And then on September 15th, start this ideal of every 2 months going around and visiting different board meetings in the evening time period, having a short meeting 30 minutes ahead of time, but really getting to engage more with that particular board. And the first one is Jetson ISD, so they're going to do it on September 15th, and that'll be in the evening time period.
For people to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Go over there.
Yeah, the ideal is they'll host a meeting first, a regular coalition meeting, and then we'll all be invited to actually go and observe their board meetings. When we first started the coalition, we did that years ago, and it was very informative, and it's good. So we've had enough people ask if we do that again, so that's the plan.
Okay.
Okay? And most importantly, the main thing I want to say for the records is, again, like Dr. Woods did, I really want to give thanks for the record to Dr. Linda Mortar also. I think our theme we had several years ago just said it all, just saying simply the best. I mean, you can't add any more to that from my vantage point, although others have done so wonderfully in adding more to that. So I really want to thank you for everything. And I want to say to our young trooper out there is if you really want to get a really good merit badge for your whole troop and tell the others, that's the person that you want to go talk to. And to learn about her life and her impact, you would do extremely well. But thank you again, Dr. Moore. It's been great.
Thank you, Bobby, appreciate it.
Mr. Medina?
I want to also second it or third and thank Dr. Moore again for her dedication to Northside and our students and our faculty and those who you also developed along the way. Sometimes you take that for granted, those teachers that are still developing, providing those instructions, and also your team that you've shared your knowledge and your wealth with those. Again, sincerely thank you very much from a parent. So I also wanted to add, regarding a theater production that was at Stevens by some of our middle school students during the summer. It was the production of Peter Pan Jr. It was a Rising Stars theater camp, and I wanted to thank those that participated, though, thank the parents that needed to continue to keep those children involved during the summer, and what a delight it was to see how our teachers and students are doing beyond the classroom. So I wanted to recognize that. Again, Scott Zielinski, fantastic. It was extremely welcoming at the swim center, and like Carol added, it was extremely impactful to see that our students were also, reflected in the swim center and the preparation for our Olympians and very best. And I would like to just end it as that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome, Melissa. We're just doing the board comments. I'll go ahead and make some, and then you can.
Thank you
okay?
very much.
So catch your breath. And for the rest of you to know, normally we have always a full board here. We have a couple of people out tonight that had other events to go to. And we have 3 meetings coming up in August, so hopefully we will continue to at least have a quorum for all of these meetings. And speaking of a lot of meetings, your board had a retreat with the superintendent and a couple of weeks, same day as the swim meet. So we moved it actually to Stinson Middle School so we could go right from one to the other because we wanted to be able to see how the event was run. And I've been to a number of the big events there, so I knew it would be great, and it always is. I was just amazed that we were using all of the other facilities there too, over by the diving well, and so that kids could get warmed up and be over there when they needed to be. It's always a wonderful event, and you do a great job of managing it, and I think all of those swimmers certainly appreciated what you had done. I understand you got to have dinner with them, so that's a neat thing also. One of the things I wanted to also mention was, I guess I'll skip some of these things. Anyway, we had a picnic for the board and the deputies at my house on Sunday. Took the opportunity to share our thoughts with Linda. So we have certainly been so grateful for all that she has added to Northside over the past 14 years. But when I saw the video yesterday, I was very surprised about your board members. I guess that's what happens when you're the master in a district that is dismal. That was Yesleta. And for those of you who didn't hear that, why, that was, oh, okay. So she must be a little happier with us than she was with them.
That's what I base my comments on.
Anyway, we hope that we see you around just like we do John Folks these days. He comes to everything that we're having on lots of events, and we hope we will see you, but that you will also have a really wonderful retirement with lots of new activities that you've been putting off that you can now do. So thank you so much for all that you have done for Northside and for really allowing the staff also to move forward in the people that worked for you. I think you empowered them to move forward as well, and I think that's really important for this school district to have happened. So with that having been said, I'll leave the rest of it, and if Ms. Chumbley would like to make some remarks.
I would. Linda, I hope you know I had a fire come up like 5 till 7, and Brian said, well, don't worry, it's going to be a short meeting. And I said, no, I have to leave because I cannot miss Linda's last board meeting. We've been to too many of them over the years. And I just want to add my thanks. I thought last night, and also a thanks to whoever put on, everyone that was involved in that last night. That was absolutely a tremendous way to say not goodbye, but enjoy your retirement. And it was really great to see all your family as well.
Thank
So
you.
I was.
May I add something? You know, my family said, "Mom, we didn't know a lot of those stories," and I said, "Well, you were young and growing up, but you do need to know that it's the staff upstairs that put it on. You know, Linda, Deanna, and Anthony, Shannon, the people that I work directly with on a daily basis. And I told Brian, and his problem is they kept me in the dark this whole time. Had no idea what was on the program. I had Linda McGee's the one that kind of, there's this and there's this and there's this big chunk. So I thought, I don't function without knowing what's going on, and it just threw me for a loop. But thank you all for the very nice comments, and I think I said it in public. The best thing that Brian could have ever said is that I am Northside now.
Yes, you
So
are.
that means the world to me.
Absolutely,
Means
you
the world to
are.
me. And you saw that stuff that I did in this letter. That was one of the hardest jobs that I've ever taken. I did that for 10 months. But I keep saying it. I hope that the staff here does not take you for granted, because you are so good. And whether you win an award or not, the award is how the staff feels about you and your support for all of the work that is done in Northside. It's not the same anywhere else. Carol can tell you that. Anybody that's been in other districts can tell you that this is not normal. It's not very typical, but it is you in Northside. So I'm very proud to come here and retire from here. This is home.
Well,
Thank you.
you will always be a part of us, and I want to see you using your go-kart.
I will, and they better
Too.
let me into the press box. That's all I know. Get my popcorn.
Well, we're going to miss you, and you are an amazing woman.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great career. So with that having been said, I think we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items here that anybody wanted to pull? If not, would I hear a motion?
Move approval for the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for bringing all the colors and so forth back there. Whoever was that? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, somebody didn't get to see them. They're all posted back there for the elementary school. Next on our agenda is the citizens to be heard, and we do have a citizen who would like to talk to us. We believe it's important and meaningful. We will listen to what you say. We value your opinions, but we are restrained by law from taking any action on them. So if you would please come forward and give us your name.
My name is Joseph Robert Truitt. My friends and enemies all call me Bob.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Northside ISD Board and Dr. Superintendent. Tonight I'm here to speak to you about adding additional security level for the most important part of Northside ISD, our precious children. I'm sure each of you will agree, when it comes to the safety of our children, no stone should be unturned. When it comes to thinking about our children, we should all the safest way as possible. We, the taxpayers, though, understand that our elected school board must balance cost versus best results in order to make school buildings safe. I believe in my heart of hearts, if all of you had unlimited resources, Northside would be the safest school district on the planet. But you do not. You do not, or you are not able to place a police officer in every classroom, in every lunchroom, in every auditorium, in every hallway, the cafeteria, the library, and other places, or at least at every door in the buildings. But to do this level of security would cost much more than the taxpayers, myself included, can bear. But you, my neighbors, you, our elected representatives, you can implement something done at all campuses in our district that will make our children safer at zero cost. Lock the doors. Yes, you heard me right. Lock the doors. Lock all the doors. All the time. I am told it's not a district-wide policy, but it's a principal's discretion at each campus to have all the doors locked at all times from any outside, saving the front door when the school's open and the children are there. My question to you tonight, when can you make this a district policy? I urge you to implement all doors be locked, including classroom doors, at all times when the children are in the buildings. No exceptions, no magnetic strip, no door stoppers, nothing. Locked doors. When administrators need access, they have the keys. I challenge leaders to allow our finest NISD police officers to make surprise audits to all campuses. Join me and other taxpayers in adding a cost-free security barrier to help our children be safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Make some remarks about what we do. Before you leave.
Mr. Truitt, I'll just, I'll say that we have done some of what you say, especially on our elementary campuses. There's a lot, controlling movement of students on elementary campuses obviously is a little more simple than it is on secondary campuses. And so it is our goal on our elementary campuses to have all of the exterior doors locked, save the front door, as you say. We are, pardon me, in the process of instituting security lobbies at all of our elementary schools where we don't have a police officer serving, except on an itinerant basis, so that an individual must come through the front door. They must have their credentials checked before they're allowed entry into the main part of the building. We're well on the way to 30 or so of those being implemented in the current bond program, and have plans to continue that as we build out those lobbies in the rest of our elementary schools. Secondary schools is a much more challenging animal. Partly because of the fact that we have schools, as you may know, from just a few months old to 60 plus years old, and of course the design of those schools has changed dramatically over time. There was a time where the design of it was typical to build multiple buildings, and so having students progress from one area of the school to the other is quite challenging when you have multiple buildings. So we have several security features there. We do at all of our secondary schools have police officers assigned, all of our middle schools and our high schools. But we do have an operating security committee that includes our police officers, includes some parents from in the district, and obviously some district staff. And we will take what you said and make sure that committee is aware of that as well.
Certainly. If they'd like to contact me, I have all my information. I'm going to leave this with your secretary.
We have it as well.
It's right here. Okay. Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
sir.
Thank you for your time.
Just wanted you to know what we are doing. Okay, thanks for filling us in. Okay, there are no items for construction this week. You got off scot-free here at the tail end. So now we're ready for facilities and operations and the schematic design for the Grossenbacher area elementary school.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. This item is for, as you mentioned, Grossenbacher Area Elementary School. Our next elementary school in the process of designing the 2014 bond program provided for 4 new elementary schools. This is the 3rd elementary school program to open in 2018. Mr. John Ritterman and Mr. Craig Noonan are here to make a schematic presentation. Call to your attention that this school is a prototype like Bolt and Cole.
Okay, as he mentioned, this is a prototype of Bolt and Cole. So this is the footprint of those 2 schools. As far as this is hard to see, but 1604 is here. There's Potranco here, and Leak Elementary School Baylau Elementary School and Grossenbacher area is right here about halfway between the two of them. These streets are in, so the main entrances off of American Lotus comes in for the student drop-off in the main parking lot. Also on American Lotus. Then off of Rocky Rise is the bus and service drive for that entrance, the fields, and the future portable area here. To the classroom wings with the playground for kinder and then the upper level. Floor plan identical to Bolton Cole. Main core has the admin, library, gym, cafeteria. Then we have a one-story classroom wing and a two-story classroom wing. As far as the elevation, this is Bolt, what it looks like. The reason we have McAndrew on here is we thought we would propose that we take the covered walks only, not the any part of the building, but the covered walks of McAndrew, and put those on the front of Grossenbacher Elementary School, which would make it a little different from Bolton Cole. And so that's what you see here on this bottom elevation. And then we have a perspective that shows that front on the school.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the board? I know the building committee looked at this a couple of weeks ago, and very similar design to what we've looked at before. Yep. I think there were some significant changes to the front.
It's changing the covered wall is McAndrew's front, but then you see these windows here, we added some glazed tile accents in the corners, and we did that on the tower part.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we need to approve the schematic design tonight. Are there any questions that anybody else had? I don't see any lights. Do I hear a motion?
I move approval.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the schematic design for Grossenbacher Area Elementary School. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I love y'all's designs. I just think you make the best elementary schools. Thank you.
Okay. The item that we have is from Business and Finance, the agreement between Northside Booster Association and Northside ISD.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. This evening, for your consideration is the MBA agreement with Northside ISD for 16. Attached to your agenda item, you'll find the actual agreement, and you'll also find the price list that's proposed for the 2016-17 year as well. I will tell you no changes to the agreement as it's presented to you this evening other than the dates. The concession pricing does have two items that are being recommended for changes. That's for the chips and the sunflowers moving from $1 to $1.50. Other than that, all the prices, sizes, and everything are remaining the same. We did present this item and discussed it with the Finance Committee at their June 1st meeting. There were no questions and concerns at that particular meeting. So at this time, the administration recommends approval of the attached agreement with the Northside Booster Association for 2016-17.
Dr. Harrell?
I think that was left over, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Ms. Chombley?
I have a question, Dennis.
Yes.
David?
David?
Sorry, David. I have not a clue where Dennis came from.
Actually, that's all right.
But I figured I could have called you something a whole lot worse. I just wanted to ask, because we had a group, I can't remember what I did on school board 20 years ago, and I can't remember where we had this come up. Oh, I know what it was. It was at our retreat. right? It was at our retreat. We had asked about, we talked about, was there any way that other organizations outside of the booster clubs could possibly participate in earning some revenue from the concessions area? Is that something that could ever be possible? We just need to update this contract. I mean, because I know there are sometimes, you know, I don't know how many schools actually really ever forfeit their concession night, but I know that we used to always get the emails at O'Connor saying, if we don't get 3 more, then we're, you know, so really any that forfeit their night because they can't get enough?
Well, actually, in the distribution, there is a penalty for not supporting the work. There is a penalty. That's in the contract. So
What the contract indicates is that the boosters have the right of first refusal at the athletic sites to sell concessions. What has happened on a number of occasions is that they have declined that, and other groups have stepped in to sell in their place. That's happened on several occasions I can think of off the top of my head.
And how do they pick what groups? How do those groups know, Brian, that they're going to have that opportunity? And what groups are it? Is it other groups from the high school?
In the ones that I'm familiar with, it's other groups that have come, usually associated with the high school, and done that in order to profit their organization. Yeah.
And the booster clubs have just stepped back because they're letting the other groups earn some funds, or because they couldn't staff
thought they
it?
couldn't staff it, perhaps. Yeah.
Is there any way to include PTAs in that offset of clubs that are, or groups that are allowed to staff concessions by default?
We could, really all that would take is when Stan finds that out, putting that PTA council and allowing them to pass it out to their membership. I don't want that.
I'd like, if the board is comfortable with it, we may need to have it on it as an action, as an agenda item and have a vote, but can we do the scope of this?
Yeah.
I mean, we're approving the new contract and prices, right?
I don't perceive that what you're asking requires a change in the agreement, because what I'm talking about is if the boosters say, you know, we're not going to do that event, who does it get offered to?
Right.
Beyond that, that's not outlined in this agreement at all. So I think that that's really an administrative decision that we can make.
Well, I thought that there were points raised about PTAs, and particularly PTAs that may not be able to raise funds in the same manner as other PTAs throughout the district. And I would just like to see us just try it. I mean, it may not work. It may be that they have it, but I would like to have us at least
We can certainly offer it.
give them the opportunity to do that, if the rest of the trustees are comfortable with that. Okay, did
I don't know that we need a vote on it, so the administration will just follow through on it.
Right.
So. Okay, moving right along. Oh, did you have something? I'm sorry, Bobby.
That's okay.
It says Lopez here instead of Blunt, so it's a little hard for me to keep straight.
Carol's idea. No, I was just gonna, I think again, we just continue with the agreement as stated, because there's a lot more that goes into it. From the administration side, they have to look at, for example, if it's not the boosters who are actually responsible to bring the items, you have another challenge too, and I hope the booster always keeps the bigger events, because, you know, when you're staffing those, to make sure you have enough stuff and run it, you know, when somebody runs out, it's rather obvious, and you know, we've seen some examples of that in some other places, so there's some complexities there that, you know, that the administration worked through, separate from this agreement.
You're right. There are also issues around liability insurance and so forth. So yeah, so there are some intricacies, but okay.
Okay. So we need to approve this yet, have we?
Oh, I
No.
move approval.
Of the agreement for the Northside Booster Association. So we have a motion and not a second to approve the agreement between the booster clubs in Northside. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So from there, we're moving right along down to number 15, which is administration. And have first reading of policy CV local. or you can do that one.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Reed. Remember, actually, that all of these policies were discussed in detail in our fairly recent policy meeting. CV Local operates in the area of facility production, and the policy language was added to reflect our practice at item 5 in the proposed policy. That's for the board's consideration of that added language. I would also just say for the benefit of the board, this is first reading of all these local policies.
These are all local, so that means we have to go through them. So, and the next one, or pardon me, Melissa, did you have something?
No, I just wanted to add that I thought that we had a really good one at the policy committee meeting over all of these. And I just wanted to thank Ray, because I appreciate that we went into such depth, particularly on the new evaluation tool. That really was. It really helped to understand some of the background of it. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll use that to segue to Mr. Galindo on these
Item
policies.
B.
And again, I realize that all of the members who are here have already seen these policies, and they are first reading. So Ray, if you just want to hit the highlights on DNA and DNB.
Sure, yes, Mrs. Reed, Dr. Woods, members of the board. DNA and DNB. DNA deals with T-test, which is a teacher evaluation instrument that we'll be using starting in the fall. DNB deals with T-PES, which is the principal version of, again, the same instrument. You may remember, and I'll just briefly, the overview as far as philosophically, they're both centered around student growth. They involve an improved and increased communication with goal setting at the beginning. As for teachers, there is a 45-minute traditional observation for most teachers, along with walkthroughs and an end-of-year conference that needs to occur. And so that's all lined out in DNA Local, including, of course, anything in relation to the less than annual 45-minute observation and the frequency with it. And so important to note, I guess, is just under frequency is that teacher supervisor will always have the authority to appraise if there's a performance deficiency, and so we felt that's important. Do want to highlight that. Looking at DNB, the only difference from DNA and DNB in relation to communication is, along with the beginning of the year and goal setting, a conversation that we have with teachers, DNB actually, for principals, requires a middle of the year conference. That is very important, and of course, it'll end with an end-of-year conference as well, and summative evaluate be on record. And so, again, these are first reading, very good discussion with both of those, but those are some highlights for both DNA and DNB for T-test and T.
Okay, any other comments from anybody? If you have questions, you can check and before the next meeting on next week, but the next regular scheduled meeting.
We
right?
actually,
or is it on for next?
It actually is, Ms. Reed, a couple of these
Okay.
DNA and DNB, because they impact us in a fairly short time period. We are going to bring these back on second reading in a week,
Okay.
Next week, just so we can get those before we begin training of teachers.
Okay. So if you have questions, be sure to check with them relatively soon. And the teacher evaluation software?
Yes, ma'am. Well, as continuing the theme with T-test and T-PES, next year, of course, we'll need some sort of software solution that we will need to document and, of course, share and communicate with teachers. Discussion began in the spring with our pilot principals. You may remember we had a dozen schools that actually piloted the instrument, both of them. And so we began that discussion as to what we should use. Late in the spring, we put together a committee, and I want to thank those of them that are here this evening, but a pretty diverse group, starting with the pilot principals, admin, staff development, technology, SIS, and even HR was involved. And so we put an RFP out in early June and together to discuss the results on July the 1st. And so all that to say that the committee recommends Frontline Technologies to be our software. And I won't read the document that's enclosed there that you have all the details of why we recommended that, but do want to hit some highlights. The rationale for Frontline, start with, I guess, some principal points, is that first and foremost, the system has the ability for administrators to script time during any observation or any walkthrough that they do, and it's important for them to have that. documented in the system immediately. The system Frontline also has the ability to customize both t-tests and evaluations, which we found out through the PDOS system, which again we had for 17 years, that especially the first few years we had a lot of custom that we recommended and were able to do, and Frontline is able to do that, and we feel that we'll have the same process as we learn through this new instrument. It also has the ability to add all other evaluations, and we plan to do that at a later date. And for those that have been principals in the room, what this means basically is we hope to have a one-stop location for all our evaluations as a principal, including teachers, custodians, counselors, instructional assistants. They can all be in one location tech-wise that we can access them from. So that's very appealing for us moving forward. And it also, more so I guess from an HR and both the principal perspective, has the track year-to-year progress. Anyone, as far as individual teachers go, as well as mark any teachers that are on leave of absence or have districts. So all of that will be tracked in this new system. From the tech side, and Lori and her group, we appreciate their help, the system has the ability to do a nightly upload. And so their system will work with ours, and in my simple mind, understood is that this system talks to our system, and so they'll be able to nightly update all the information with no manual entry that'll be required. And then finally, the price we thought was very reasonable. It's not a price per individual site, but rather, the price is per individual rather than per site. What that means is that they're charging us per individual rather than the number of schools that we have. Vary, of course, in size from our small elementaries to our large high schools. And so we felt that was the fair pricing that any of them offered. There were 4 companies that actually were the RFP, and again, Frontline is the one of the 4 that we recommend. And ask for your approval this evening. You can move forward and actually begin what we think is a simple training, but still a training that'll be required for principals. And as soon as this board approves that, we can begin the negotiation price through our finance office and hopefully the hands of principals so that they can begin to use it and be ready to go with teachers. So that, in a nutshell, Mrs. Reed, is the rationale for us recommending Frontline Technologies as a solution.
Thank you, Mr. Glendale. Dr. Harrell, did you have a question?
Do a motion.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I move that we approve the Frontline technology for teachers.
Any other comments? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Good thing we still have 4 people here. And just in case you all didn't know, 4 is a quorum, so we have to have at least 4 of us here to be able to vote on issues. And Ms. Chumley had an important call to take, so there. So that brings us down to the superintendent's agenda, and the item on there is board operating procedures, which we can tonight because we don't have a full board here. So we'll go right to legislative priorities.
Yes, ma'am. We have discussed legislative priorities. We've sent that to you a couple of times and then had an opportunity at our retreat to that. It would be great to have these approved this far ahead of session so that we can really start distributing that to our delegation. And with that, Mrs. Reed and members of the board, we would ask for your approval of the legislative priorities as we discuss them.
Okay. Comments from members of the board? If no comments, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll move approval of the priorities as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve legislative priorities that were reviewed on our team building session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Future agenda items, Dr. Woods.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Reed, at the blue at each of your places, you've got a number of items to convocation sign-up sheet. Convocations are fast. A request from Mr. Victor Contreras with Marion ISD for an endorsement to the TASB Board of Directors. You've also got in your folder Northside Education and Principal vacancies for board-appointed positions. If you look at those, and then obviously of future agenda items, I'll just point out quickly to the board as per usual. We have our 3 meetings in August. 2 meetings. The central reason behind the second meeting is to call the public meeting for the budget and the tax rate. The meeting on the 10th then would be to have that public meeting, and then obviously in our regular meeting on the 23rd to do the budget finalization for 2016-17.
And I think everybody got, oh, did you already mention that? The copy of your bio that's on the website?
Right, copy of your bio for your edits.
Make sure that it's accurate.
As well as your invitation to the Foundation Gala event in September.
Okay. Anything else that we need to discuss? If not, that's to the close of the regular meeting. So see, you were on here about an hour. Beginning at 8:10, we are convening meeting to take action on the following items: appointment of Assistant Principal O'Connor, Vice Principal of Science and Engineering, Vice Principal Neff, Vice Principal Bailow, Vice Principal Moore. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval as discussed and close the session.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve the appointments as discussed in the closed meeting. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. So 8:11 p.m. Very good.